Today I'm a tad miffed, confused perhaps. My intention was to cover a subject on Lance Armstrong, which I might yet do tomorrow, but instead we got the verdict for Count Dankula, and to tell you the truth, I don't think it's the verdict that we wanted. I say we, I mean me. In my head I had this fantastic image of him rocking up to prison, walking into his cell to meet his new cellmates and simply saying, "Right then, who's gonna batter my prostate?" And I thought that was rather amusing. And then when you consider he only got an £800 fine, you think, so for 2 years of his life he's been put in this kind of limbo, this purgatory, where he could not properly function for 2 years to receive an £800 fine and be the country's first court-appointed anti-Semite. Maybe it's a good thing it's only a fine, but at the same time it's also dangerous, something which Dankula himself talks about outside the court when he leaves after receiving the verdict. I believe a few other creators and known figures were there. Others were at protests, which I'm sure we're going to talk about later, as we have an article from the BBC covering this. Man fined for hate crime after filming Pug's Nazi salutes. I'm going to correct this title from the BBC. Man fined for being the court's first appointed anti-Semite after filming his girlfriend's dog saluting to gas the kikes. That's the correct... Well, it's better, I think. It's a bit long, but I like it anyway. A man who filmed a pet dog giving Nazi salutes before putting the footage on YouTube has been fined £800, which does set dangerous precedent, because it tells me the courts can decide how much to charge you for being, quotes, grossly offensive, and that in itself is subjective. Now I think we should play the clip of what Dankula says outside the courthouse.
I'm still going to appeal the sentence. I'm still going to appeal against it. It says this doesn't set a precedent. It does set a precedent. See, it's a really, really dangerous precedent to set for people to say things, their context be completely ignored, and then they can be convicted for it. Basically, you don't get to decide the context of what you said. Other people don't get to. The court decides to. That's dangerous.
I'm also going to throw in a clip from a stream Tailed Feature did, which I will link below, where he had just left the courthouse and then made a stream to explain the verdict and some of the things that happened in the court.
It's just gone 11, and yeah, I thought I could maybe quickly go over some of the notes that I took. Do this one-handed. This is where a selfie stick would have come in handy, but they're pretty fucking gay. So, folk wanted an update. I didn't want to wait until I got home and stuff, so I'll just do a quick kind of go through. So if you've got any questions of that, I'll try and fire through them. So we started back pretty much bang on 10 o'clock. The courtroom was absolutely rammed. I did think it was possibly a coincidence. Was it a coincidence, or was it intentional that they used the smallest room so far? There was probably only about 20 seats there. They probably didn't want a lot of trouble. So the defence lawyer got up and spoke. Yes, Misa, he was just fined £800. That's about a tenth of what he made on a fucking live stream last night. So from the super chats and all that kind of thing. So that's not really the point, though. You know, there is more at stake. Tommy Robinson's kicking about as well. But yeah, he's going to appeal, I reckon. He's got to, really, because it's the principle of the thing, isn't it? But he's got 6 months to pay. But he said very briefly in the court, he was just like, oh, if I wasn't appealing, I could have just said, can I just pay it now? But no, he didn't say that. He also dabbed just really, really quickly, just at the at the very end after the sheriff left. He just went, "Whoa."
Meechan of Coachbridge, doxed, was sentenced at Airdrie Sheriff Court after being found guilty of committing a hate crime last month. Now, I covered this in a video. He was only found guilty because the judge decided that the context did not matter. Let's apply this to many other crimes. I know it's a straw man, but it's just amusing to think that so many people could be in prison for committing a crime if you remove context from it. Like, say someone breaks into your house and you knock them the fuck out. Well, that's assault right there. Ignore the fact that they broke into a house. That doesn't matter. You committed a hate crime because the person that broke into your house, well, they don't have the same skin colour as you. Therefore, it is obviously a racially motivated crime. The fact the court has issued a fine on this tells me that they are going to start clamping down on speech based on how someone finds something offensive. Considering the number of comedians out there who are quite offensive by nature, you have to worry about their careers and their futures. certainly if you are performing in Scotland, who are apparently so delicate. Apparently. I still think it's fantastic that the only people that actually took offence to the original video were the hate crime unit, whose sole job description is to take offence for the general public. What a way to serve the community, by taking offence for them, even though no one took offence. He denied any wrongdoing and insisted he made the video, which was posted in April 2016 to annoy his girlfriend, which was an absolute rip-roaring success. Congratulations, Mark, by the way. You managed to piss your girlfriend off, but she stuck around at least. She's a keeper, man. But Sheriff Derek O'Carroll found him guilty of a charge under the Communications Act, which we've all agreed, based on that law, he is in fact guilty. But it is very subjective. That he posted a video on social media and YouTube which was grossly offensive because it was anti-Semitic and racist in nature, and was aggravated by religious prejudice. You've asserted religious prejudice based on the term's use in history, which I think he did to piss his girlfriend off. So it's like you've both gone off in separate directions to ascertain how that was offensive. His being to annoy someone, yours to take offence on behalf of a community who haven't obviously taken offence to it. Congratulations. Finding Meechan a disappointing £800, the sheriff told him, "The centerpiece of your video consists of you repeating the phrase 'gas the Jews' over and over again as a command to the dog, which then reacts. Buddha didn't do nothing, man. You use the command Sieg Heil, having trained the dog to raise its paw in response," which surely would tell you he must have been incredibly bored to actually sit there with the dog and encourage responses from that turn of phrase. It wouldn't have been something that just happened like that. Anyway, on the whole evidence, I found it proved that the video you posted using a public communications network was grossly offensive and contained menacing anti-Semitic and racist material. Yes. Taking a phrase out of history and using it to annoy someone is so offensive. You know what we should do now, and I know this is a bit of a straw man, we should just ban history, because that's all pretty damn offensive. He added, "The facts that you claim in the video and elsewhere that the video was intended only to annoy your girlfriend and as a joke that you did not intend to be racist is of little assistance to you, but that's because you have determined it is irrelevant. You've taken something then that is just a man telling a dog to seek Heil. As earlier stated on multiple occasions, context is incredibly important, and all you're doing is making the United Kingdom's justice system look like dog shit." Meechan was supported in court by Tommy Robinson, former leader of far-right group the EDL. Who cares? Isn't it sad? That's those that stand up for free speech, who actually stand up for it, are on the right. It must suck for all of you. It doesn't matter who supported him, really. It's just unfortunate that those on the left seem to want to curtail free speech, or choose when it suits them to allow free speech, or then hide behind the idea that they just want to be free of consequence. That's not entirely the point. People must be free to speak. It doesn't matter what you have to say, you should be free to say it. There should be no law dictating what is and is not okay to say. Speaking after being fined, Meechan, who posts under the name Count Dankula, said he would be appealing the sentence, and rightly so. Not because you can't afford it. Certainly I saw all the super chats while talking to two of my patrons last night. We honestly believed you'd either be in prison or banned off the internet. It had occurred to me that if you were banned from the internet, you could still make videos. Just have your girlfriend be the person that presses the upload button. Anyway, let us continue. He defended the video, saying the whole point of the joke was the juxtaposition of having an adorable animal reacting to something vulgar, which is quite an eloquent way of saying, I just really wanted to piss my girlfriend off. In it, fam. There was a demonstration outside court by protesters claiming the case went against the principle of free speech. It did. Anyone can say that that's not true. You would all be lying. We have issues with freedom of speech in this country. Without there being some kind of concrete parameter, seems almost subjective in how it is, quotes, interpreted, which is dangerous. Comedian Ricky Gervais had taken to Twitter to comment on the case after guilty verdict. That's not written right. A man has been convicted in a UK court of making a joke that was deemed grossly offensive. If you don't believe in a person's right to say things that you might find grossly offensive, then you don't believe in freedom of speech. I absolutely 100% agree with him. In fact, I believe a number of comedians stepped up and said things like this. The only comedians I noticed that were quite silent were those that were somewhat more left-leaning, if you ignore TigerLily. I'm sure Mark Meechan wants to unwind after all of this. Appealing the decision is great because he knows now that he's not banned off the internet, he's not going to prison, and he has every right to, and I think he should. But I hope you're okay. Now this is over, you can focus on the things that you weren't able to do before, like work without fear of going to prison, teach that dog another stupid trick perhaps, Okay, maybe not that. It's also beneficial that you're not going to prison, since you've already indicated you have a dick that's basically a Pringles tube with veins. I can imagine quite a number of guys in there would be very sore afterwards. Ho-hum, oh well. In conclusion, Count Stankula spent 2 years being dragged through the mud by the UK courts, to only then receive an £800 fine. If anyone didn't think our courts were a joke before, I'm sure they do now. To the UK Hate Crimes Unit, this is directed straight at you. You are an absolute sham. We have enough issues with crime rates in our country, but you'd rather spend all your valuable resources in a Mickey Mouse department, trying to put people for perceived crimes in jail. You are a joke, and you should all be ashamed of yourself. Now that's all out of the way. I hope you all have a lovely day, and thank you all for listening.
Omegon, I'm going to batter your prostate.